Yeah. Who slay more than Vatican? Another mystery Babylon. Who slay more than Vatican? Another mystery Babylon. Battle covered in the smoke. Jeremiah. It is difficult for anything to keep shining in the fire. I crash on the mountain, no climb, no bother come up. No higher. Who slay more than Vatican? Well, another mystery Babylon. Who slay more than Vatican? Another mystery Babylon. Charismatic of a fearsome grace, skill you. I'm only honest. Yes, Esther is the truth. Look how I red eye in a charcoal suit. Red eye in a charcoal suit. Red eye in a charcoal suit. Yeah, yeah. Who's name more than Vatican? Another mystery Babylon.
Who slays more than the Vatican? Honor no mystery Babylon. Who slays more than the Vatican? No, nobody. The Vatican runs this whole dragon system, identifying the dragon network. What is the dragon that the book of Revelations talks about? The dragon that Haile Selassie talks about as the godless and cruel dragon. This is not a literal dragon, although it could be a literal serpent behind it. It's metaphorical for a Babylon system, for a wicked man system, okay? The last system on earth that would not be the government of God, but the government of men, that brings men into apostasy, wickedness, tyranny, slackness, debauchery, inversion, perversion, subversion, lawlessness. Okay? Got to keep the 10 Commandments, and part of this service of Jah, right, is not going along with Mystery Babylon. Who slays more than the Vatican? I got no honor for Mystery Babylon. The Vatican is Mystery Babylon, and all of its facets are part of Mystery Babylon Dragon Network. And we're going to teach you how to identify elements and institutions and agencies that work for Mystery Babylon, the dragon. Okay?
More than the Vatican. Well, I don't know mysteries Babylon. Yeah. No. Hey. Give them at the branches. As always, Rasta and the root. Real fire, blood, red and standing bait face. Rasta you. Rasta you. Rasta you. Yeah, that's how. Check a get smaller by the minute. By the minute. Who slay more than Vatican? Well, I don't know mysteries Babylon. Who slay more than Vatican? Well, I don't know mysteries Babylon. Yeah. When destiny bring them back, that's when the bag stop say, no Jah, no there. Lion 2 times in the name Yahweh. Earlier than a market pan and news Saturday. Praise RASTAFARI when the skies them gray. More ganja plant but vibes big away. Every public rituals lay in a the month of May. Call it peacekeeping, but not be a foul play. Fully on taxation and what them agents say. Still Rastafari condemn them economic brutality. Street can only accord what them teach daily. Them teach daily. Them teach daily. Yeah. Who slay more than Babylon? Well, I'm a mystery Babylon. Who slay more than Vatican? Well, I'm a mystery Babylon.
I encourage y'all to go look up the lyrics to this song. It's very well written. It's called Esta as the Truth, as in Esta, E-S-T-A, space E-S, space the truth, okay? He talks about how I and Rastafari have been speaking out against their economic brutality, their eugenics, their poison medical system, and so on. So, identifying the dragon is crucial for the time we are in. Because Haile Selassie warned us that we must stand united with our allies, and that includes all races, creeds, and all those in the Christ, in Christ, Jesus Christ, you know. And by all creeds, I mean all Christian creeds, need to come out of her, my people. As the book of Revelation speaks of, the apostate church, the dragon, the whore, and Babylon, okay? The current church, as we spoke about in the last video, exposing Muta Baruka, yeah, the church is infiltrated. That's why you come out of her, Jah's people, right? And you expose the dragon network and work against the dragon and stand for Christ and Christ's kingdom and righteousness and truth and morality. And so the institutions of the Dragon Network are very plain to see if you have eyes to see. But lots of people don't have eyes to see because they don't want to see the truth. So, you know, this is a war. And we were born in this time to deal with this situation. The faithful Rastafari and faithful Christian, who are the remnant of Jah's people in this time, are the ones who will stand against the dragon, and we will have victory in Christ. Already have the victory. We know who wins at the end of the story, okay? In the 1600s, 15 to 1600, the dragon was loosed, okay? And that's when these eugenics operations, depopulation, history, the blotting out of history, cultures, and all manner of tribes began to happen. And it's the same family lines that have controlled this depopulation, eugenics, indigenous destruction. Okay, and they have moved nations and tribes all over the earth to places unnaturally through orphanages. Okay, and if anybody wants to scoot off into that study, I suggest you look into the orphan trains and incubator babies and that sort of thing. Okay. So that was to stop people from remembering the past and where we came from, and that means all nations, tribes, and tongues, okay, because they did it to all nations, tribes, and tongues, starting with Africa first, okay, and then there's this whole debate about, are there native blacks in America, and so on. Well, of course there was, because blacks have been here for a long time, because they came here a long time ago. And so did white people before Christopher Columbus and all that stuff. So history is bunk, okay? We all know that, and that's being blown open right now. So there's a lot to scoot off into, but right now I just want to focus on identifying the Dragon Network and how it has come to be what it is today. And, you know, this is the greatest trick on mankind because they want people to believe it's one nation against another nation, but behind the curtain, the higher-up elites of each nation that work in the intelligence communities, like CIA, KGB, Mossad, MI6, you know, they all work together. And it's all about controlling the masses and using masses like cattle, which is why you have a social security number and a birth certificate, because you are their cattle. Okay? That is an example of identifying a dragon institution or practice. The practice of birth certificates and social security cards is a Dragon Network eugenics Nazi-friendly practice. It comes from them, okay? It's part of tagging, tracking, and tracing, and cataloging your genetic heritage and everything about your genome and your pool, your genetic pool, and your phenotype. So they can turn off certain races, ethnicities at will whenever they want eventually. That's what they'll do. That's what they've already talked about doing. Eugenics is alive and well, and after World War II, it did not diminish. It just sprung up in new ways with new names like philanthropy. Okay? So, you have to keep in mind, people will say, well, didn't we beat the Nazis in World War II? And it's like, that's where you fail to realize that the world is a stage. Okay? Because before World War II even started, with the invasion of Ethiopia paid for by the Vatican to invade Ethiopia with Mussolini's fascist ass, okay? Before that started, which was the first nation invaded in World War II, was Ethiopia, okay? And then Europe stuff happened, and Russia stuff happened, and on so on, okay? It always starts with Ethiopia, by the way. This World War III that's popping off right now just started with Ethiopia. But anyways, before World War II, Hitler is on record praising America's, government, essentially, for its eugenics practices or operations, okay? Hitler is a fall guy for eugenics and Nazism so that they could pretend like to the world that we had gotten rid of that eugenics stuff. But really, it's alive and well, and that's why if you study history, you see that there's holes in the mainstream narrative, and then you see that eugenics continues to be alive and well. And if Hitler gave praise to America before World War II for their eugenics, and they were taking things from America to put into their eugenics implementations and operations, right? And in Germany, right? And then you have the invasion of Germany by the Brits and the U.S., supposedly to defeat Hitler and stop this whole eugenics thing, right? Okay. The problem with that is right after that happened, we brought Nazi scientists in through what's called Operation Paperclip, okay? So if we bring Nazi scientists in and they start NASA and implement all these medical institutions with Rockefeller, Rothschild, and then you got Werner von Braun, and then you have, people like Alan Dulles and the Dulleses and the CIA, and then the Bushes. These are all Dragon networks, okay? And then it's all spun off into multiple hundreds of institutions, organizations, schools, medical apparatuses, hospitals, and so on. So their money and their hands are all over their work, okay? And it goes from top to bottom, as in, if the past is the top instructed eugenics operatives, it has trickled all the way down to this time, okay? It has never been hindered. There's people who've been trying to expose it, but that's why it says, who can war against the beast? Okay, because it's an all-encompassing, so-called world order, right? And that's why they spend so much time and energy covering up the old world, lying about the architecture, lying about the history, because they don't want you to know that we have already been given 100% victory over these kinds of things. And that's the 1,000-year reign that has already happened. And then that's why it's the 1,000 years passes, then the dragon is loosed post 1,000 years, like in the year 1100 or 1200, after the 1,000-year reign begins. Okay, so that's 1500 to 1600. And all this colonialism, dragon, eugenics network stuff starts to begin. And then that's when black people began to be enslaved, okay? And that, which is enslaving the king tribe so that we can have pretend Judah, the Jews that say they're Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan, rearrange the history and set the Holy Land somewhere else, and then claim that he's these and those things so they can have their false Christ, their false Mashiach. But eugenics is in the Tavistock Institute through the pushing of psychedelic drugs and demoralization of white culture and black culture through gangster music, gangster rap, and gangster stuff. Because all that gangster stuff that came out over the last 30, 40 years, as far as rap goes, I'm not talking about real hip-hop. I'm talking about engineered, created music that devolves the culture into immorality, objectification of women, and drug use, and the selling of hard drugs to your own people. Okay, that's eugenics. It's a psychological operation to create a eugenics field of effect. Okay, is the best way I could put it. And it's the same with the white culture as well. Hippie music, psychedelic drugs, witchcraft, orgies, sexual immorality, not knowing who God is. Everything's morally subjective and relative. And we're just an accident floating through space, kind of thing. We're on spaceship Earth, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? And then they replace the values of the thirst for righteousness and goodness with false moral fulfillment. Like, instead of people actually dealing with real morality, they get their moral kicks from saying that they're saving the earth by not using plastic anymore or whatever. And do I believe in being green? I don't like the term being green because it's been hijacked. And a lot of these ecological operations are just another dragon network thing. It's not actually it doesn't have anything to do with helping the earth heal or not hurting the earth or not poisoning our water, food, and air. Okay? That's not what it's really about. But am I for organics and not poisoning the earth and people's food? Of course I am. I'm all about organic. That's all I ever do. Okay? I try to buy all organic food. And I grow all organically, ganja and food, okay? So the left-wing and right-wing dialectic is part of the Dragon Eugenics Network, okay? They'd love to get Republicans and Democrats killing each other. That's more depopulation, and it riles people up and makes them hate each other. And that's why I know Rastafari, I've been saying we don't trust any politician from day one. Okay? Politicians are no good. Period. Left wing, right wing, same fucking bird. Alright? So, you got MIT, who's doing all this tech stuff, and Alice McDowell is really great at exposing this stuff. You got the fake Rastas coming out. And, you can easily identify a dragon operation, okay? If you know the truth, you love the truth, and you love Jah, and you stand for what's right, it's easy to see what's going on here in every little thing, if it's dragon or not, okay? If you're with the dragon, you're against I, okay? If you're going to support the dragon, something that might be misleading to some black brethren, and even, obviously, some white brethren and sisters, is like, for example, I know a lot of people know this is bogus, but Black Lives Matter is not good for Rastafari. Okay, it's not for Black Lives Mattering. Okay, it's another Dragon Network operation to promote extreme polarizations. Okay, which divide and conquer. You got economic, political, educational, religious institutions all infiltrated by this Dragon Network. They push cannibalism in the fucking media. They push all kinds of sexual debauchery. That's eugenics, okay? The big agricultural practices of poisoning our food, that's eugenics, okay? the complete dismissal of true Rastafari and not playing our music anywhere is eugenics, because that music encourages us to stand for Christ, righteousness, truth, and a moral government, and to be interacting with the world enough to make a difference. Okay. Christians like to say that, we should sit back and watch the show and not actually do anything, because, I just don't get that, because they evidently haven't read the Bible, because the Bible calls you to stand for what's right. Okay. Just go read the book of Jeremiah. Go read the first, 3 chapters, 10 chapters of Isaiah. Just go read. We cannot be a part of this. We cannot be yoked to it. It says, come out of her, my people. This is this whole cultural system. It's called the dragon. Okay. And that's why, they made cannabis illegal for 100 years. We lose all that medicine and health that comes from all the different cannabinoids. And, that's part of eugenics. Taking away our herbs is a eugenics operation. And replacing it with big pharma synthetics, the petro-industrial chemical cartel, as one of my old school favorite truthers used to say. I think that's how he says it. I don't even hear from him anymore. His name is Horowitz. He's actually a Kenite, but he could be a righteous one. But anyway. So, all of the medical institutions, all of the NFT, crypto, blockchain institutions, or whatever you want to call them, they're not really institutions, but they're not against the dragon. They would have you believe that using Bitcoin is against the feds. And the feds are adopting it straight out. It was a Fed operation to begin with. So, Crypto Rasta is operating under the influence of the dragon system. Okay? And he's trying to get Rastas into NFT, which is a non-fundable token, I think is how it's said, and blockchain, digital currency. And if you just listen to Alice McDowell for an hour, you'll realize you don't want nothing to do with the blockchain. It's not anonymity. It's tracking and tracing everything you do. And then think about everything they pulled out with this last event that just happened worldwide, where they're going to get people to carry around their papers about whether or not they got the shot or not. That is straight up Nazism. Demonic dragon network operation. Like the fact that you would have to carry around your papers about whether you took your government mandated medicine or not. That's pretty criminal. That's exactly out of Nazi Germany. Okay? To force any kind of medication. I don't care if people are dropping dead in the street. You cannot force me to take anything. Period. Okay? The removal of sovereignty, as like I just said at the beginning of the video, your social security card, your birth certificate is your cattle number. You are their cow. Okay? Are you a cow or are you a living man? Okay? You're not accountable to the IRS at all if you're a living man. Okay? And people be like, you're not a taxpayer? You don't want us to have paved roads and shit? And it's like, whoa. Hold on a second. I'm not against some form of tribute that makes the culture and the cities in good shape. But let's rewind that a little bit, because we got trillions of dollars that get taken from Americans for working and getting taxed for all kinds of bullshit that we shouldn't be getting taxed for. It's not just one tribute for the building up of our city and keeping things nice and infrastructure nice. That's not what's going on here. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars that go to the black budget to do all kinds of demonic, immoral, wicked things that this government has no business doing. So don't tell me I'm not a taxpayer, so I can't say nothing. What are they doing with our tax money? Yeah, the roads do stay nice most of the time in most places that are built up, right? Or whatever you want to complain about. There's no doubt about that. Some of the tax money locally especially gets used to improve infrastructure and keep things nice, okay? But I would say a good 70% or more of our tax money gets used for criminal operations of the Dragon Network. And that's been proven. That's not even like a Rasta topic. That's a universally known common knowledge, okay? The government does all kinds of fucked up shit with the taxpayers' money that should not be being done. So don't give me that you don't pay taxes shit, okay? Because if we lived in a truly righteous operational system that was functional, gave liberty, kept those liberties protected, and so on, I'd be all about that little tribute that everybody might want to give. But it should be kind of a choice, you know what I mean? It's kind of like tithing. The poor shouldn't have to tithe so much, you know what I'm saying? It should be, I don't know the solution for it, but I know that forcing Americans to do this constantly is just, it's not good. So that's just part of the Dragon Network too. The tax system, you know, treating men and women like they're cattle, like they're commerce. It's dehumanizing. And how much longer of this incremental imprisonment of free peoples are we going to sit here and watch? Because every year it's more and more they take, and more freedoms and liberties and privacy rights and all this kind of stuff is just dwindling down it's just going down the drain. And we're going to sit back and watch it. You know, that's just ridiculous. So no, I don't want to. I'm a sovereign man. I'm a sovereign, natural living man, so I don't pay anything but sales tax. Okay? That's it. Because that's just going to happen because I'm buying